After over 10 years of working out, there's one thing I wish I would have started doing from day one, and it wasn't something I learned from a bodybuilder or an exercise scientist or even some new study that came out. It was simply something I started doing because the more I thought about it, the more it just made logical sense. And looking back, I honestly think it's one of the biggest reasons I've been able to consistently make progress over the years while keeping my training incredibly simple. And the thing I'm talking about is pausing almost all of my reps. And before half of you click off because that sounds way too simple, you gotta hear me out and maybe you'll consider it as well. If you've watched this channel for any length of time, then you already know I believe progressive overload and mechanical tension are the biggest drivers of building muscle. And in simple terms, those words basically mean just getting stronger by doing more weight and reps over time, and then making sure you're lifting a challenging weight during each set. If your goal is to build as much muscle as possible naturally, then you need to become significantly stronger over time in a moderate rep range. That's really all you have to focus on. And one of the biggest mistakes I see people make in the gym when trying to implement progressive overload is they don't keep their reps consistent. This is why I believe pausing is so underrated, because it keeps each of your reps true. So let's take the bench press for example. So many people are bouncing the weight off their chest to hit a personal record, and sometimes even shortening the range of motion as well. But is that really progress? Or did they simply manipulate how they perform the exercise just to force a new record? That's the question I started asking myself years ago. Because if we know progressive overload is one of the most important things in building muscle, then shouldn't we make sure we're actually measuring it accurately? To me, the answer was obvious. I just need to try my best to standardize every rep. So basically, if every rep starts the same way and it ends the same way and uses the same range of motion and then follows the same general tempo, then when I add another rep or another 1, 3, or even 5 pounds, I know with a lot more confidence that I actually got stronger. That's why I pause my reps. And I really hope you guys don't take this like I'm saying pause reps have some magical muscle building property. What I'm basically trying to say is when you pause, it's going to remove as many variables as possible, so the only thing left to improve is your actual strength. In my opinion, pause reps have so many practical benefits that people don't talk about enough. First is they remove momentum. Every rep starts from pretty much a dead stop, so my muscles have to produce the force instead of relying on a bounce or swinging the weight to get through the hardest part of the lift. And I know for a fact that you guys watching have seen the person deadlifting and then bouncing the bar off the floor or bouncing the barbell off their chest when benching, or maybe even doing the same during a leg press. All that is doing is hitting a personal record for their ego. The second benefit of pause reps is that they improve mind-muscle connection and just overall control. If I can pause a weight and stay in a stable position before moving it, I know that I'm actually controlling the weight instead of the weight controlling me. And when you zoom out and you look at this over thousands of reps, I think that extra control also gives me a better chance of staying healthy. And is it a guarantee that I won't ever get injured? Of course not. But I'd rather spend years performing controlled reps than constantly throwing weights around and using momentum even though my body can't truly lift it. And I know some of you guys are probably thinking, but what about constant tension? Like I thought that was best for muscle growth. Personally, I think the importance of constant tension has been massively overstated. When you actually think about what you're trying to accomplish during a set, you're just taking a challenging weight and pushing your muscles close to failure or all the way to failure. Whether you pause for half a second like I do between reps, or you perform every rep in perfectly continuous motion, it doesn't suddenly change the fact that your muscles are still doing the work. If I hand you a weight that you can only lift 8 times with good form, you're still going to reach failure whether you pause briefly between reps or not, and you're still creating the mechanical tension that actually drives growth. But what matters so much more than just comparing pause reps to constant tension is just being consistent and not ego lifting. So if you pause your reps today, then pause them next week. And if you control the weight today, then control it next week. Don't just keep changing week to week. That way, when you go from 8 reps to 9 reps, or you add another 2.5 or even 5 pounds to the bar, you know that you legitimately improved instead of just changing how you perform the exercise. And if the way I teach fitness resonates with you and you're looking for a simple step-by-step plan instead of trying to piece everything together yourself, then click the video on your screen now, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.